Get the latest movie reviews, Hollywood news, and inside views. It's time for Behind the Screens with Lights, Camera, Jackson on 107.7 GNA.
Good morning. He's our professional film critic. He's the best at what he does, and he's got some information on the new Steven Spielberg movie. We hope it's a smash. It is Lights, Camera, Jackson. Good morning, Jax. How are you?
I'm great. Happy Good Friday. It is a Good Friday when we're talking about these movies, you guys.
I love it. And you know what? Let's start, though. We'll get to Ready Player One. Let's start with a movie that you are going to preview for us, which opens up this weekend, and that's the Tyler Perry film that nobody
knows about.
Nobody knows about.
It's called Acrimony. He wrote and directed this movie. It stars Taraji P. Henson. This is already her second major movie of this year after Proud Mary, which came out in January, but it bombed. It only made $20 million total, half of it just in its opening weekend. So she's looking for a bounce back here. This movie, I've seen the trailers for it a couple of times. It's supposed to be wild and outrageous because she plays a woman when she realizes her man's been cheating on her. Literally, it says online, all hell breaks loose. So could be a wild, fun ride, guilty pleasure kind of movie. And with Tyler Perry behind it, he's talked a little bit about some of the similarities to Gone Girl in terms of something different that he wanted to accomplish with this movie.
So not a comedy? No. Okay.
Wow.
You will not be seeing Medea in this.
Okay. She doesn't make a cameo, though, like as her grandmother?
By the
That
way,
would be funny, but I don't think that happens.
Jackson, as always, great report. Very thorough, but probably about 45 seconds too long on Tyler Perry. All right, let's get to...
That's my fault, Jackson.
Yeah, that is Chris's
I
fault.
apologize.
Now, let's get to the movie, which is finally going to unseat Black Panther, and it's a smash in its own right. Ready Player One. I hope you love this movie.
Without question, this is the best movie of the year so far.
Wow.
And I'm going to say this, too. There are obviously no guarantees, but if this doesn't make my 10 best list for the entire year, I will be very surprised.
That is high praise from you, Jackson.
So tell us about the film, though. Like, it's confusing. Like, we know it's Steven Spielberg. We feel like it's retro. We love that take on Me by Ahaz in the trailer. Like, it just looks like it should be good. And tell us why it is.
Yes, so it's based on this novel from 2011 by Ernest Cline called Ready Player One, and it's about virtual reality. In 2045 in Columbus, Ohio, this teenager named Wade Watts, he puts on these virtual reality glasses like everyone does, and they go into the Oasis, which is this world in which you can do anything. And there's a set of 3 challenges. If you get all 3 keys, you win the ultimate prize, which is control of the Oasis. But there's so much more that happens in this movie. The visuals are unbelievable, and the dialogue is fantastic, and the story, it gets you pumped. You literally want to cheer and yell at the screen as you're cheering on Wade and his friends to accomplish this. But also, this is essentially Steven Spielberg's 21st century version of Raiders of the Lost Ark because of the romance, because of the adventure. And towards the end, those classic trademark Spielberg touches come in with some powerful emotion in one of my favorite scenes I've seen in a long time. It really gets you by the end. It is a thrill ride and a movie that if you love it the first time, you got to go see it a second time.
High praise. Wow. See, Steven Spielberg, like if you look at his list of credits, he makes movies that change the way you think about outer space, about life.
He's constantly doing that.
It's all about like opening up your imagination. How much retro 80s or 90s feel is in this film?
There's a lot of 70s and 80s music consistently throughout, and there's so much pop culture in it because the guy who created the Oasis, who's played by Mark Rylance, Oscar winner for Spielberg's Bridge of Spies, he was so into pop culture, so all these references are in it throughout. Everyone's avatar that they choose to be in the Oasis, you can be characters like Hello Kitty or Marvin the Martian, anybody randomly, Batman shows up, you see a bunch of different references here. And I got to say this, too, Spielberg, because The Post, which was my favorite movie of last year, just came out a few months ago, he was working on Ready Player One and The Post simultaneously, and they are both incredible movies. That is just an accomplishment. He could probably end his career now on incredible high notes.
I hope not.
Well, here's the thing. He could have ended it 10 years ago, and it would have still
After
been
E.T., he could have ended it.
We're talking to Lights, Camera, Jackson, going behind the screens. We've got 60 seconds left. The advances for Deadpool 2, not very good, and that's what you're hearing?
they're not as strong. They're only thinking $100 million for an opening weekend, which is like, oh my gosh, $100 million is a lot of money. But the first one made about $360 million total and an opening weekend of $130. They're thinking it's going to be lower based on the reactions from the trailers. Deadpool has not had a great week because the animated TV series that was supposed to be on FX or FXX got canned this week. Donald Glover, who was behind it, and FX parted ways on the project. So, yeah, not a good week for Deadpool, and the trailers don't do it any good for the sequel. They really don't.
And that movie comes out the middle of May or early May?
Yes, May 18th, 3 weeks after the Avengers, 1 week before the solo Star Wars movie.
So you have plenty of time to hate on Deadpool because we know how much you hate that film. Jackson, really strong report this morning. If people want more from you, how can they do that, buddy?
My complete review of Ready Player One is on YouTube. Search Lights Camera Jackson there and go to lights-camera-jackson.com and follow me on Twitter at LCJ Reviews.